Please be seated. Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados. Dr. the Honorable William F. Duguid, Minister of Planning and Development, Prime Minister's Office, and Senior Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for coordinating infrastructural projects. Honorable Kay Makani, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Honorable Sandra Husbands, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Senator Andwele Boyce, Member of the Senate. Ms. Gabrielle Springer, Director General, Infrastructure, Office of the Senior Minister, Infrastructure and Planning. Ms. Alice Jordan, Permanent Secretary, Prime Minister's Office. Mrs. Yolanda J. Howard, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment and National Beautification, Green and Blue Economy. Mrs. Wendy Odell, Acting Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw, Chief Education Officer, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Mr. Daniel Best, Senior Infrastructure and Development Advisor, Prime Minister's Office. Dr. Ida Mae Denny, Director, Strategic Innovations Unit. Dr. Paul Murphy, Director, Change Management Unit. Senior Management Team for the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Chairman and members of the boards of management and public and secondary schools. Also, Mr. Steve Devenish, Director, Natural Heritage Department. Mr. Stephen Savory, Project Coordinator, Skills for the Future Program. Mr. Richard Boyce, Engineer, Skills for the Future Program. Mr. David Linton, Senior Technical Officer, Design Services, Ministry of Transport and Works, BIA, competition participants, partners in the media, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today's ceremony marks an important milestone on the journey towards education transformation. On March the 7th of this year, the Modern School Infrastructure Design Competition was launched, and with it, the clarion call for our architects and designers to illustrate their vision of our schools, nursery, primary, secondary, and special needs, the look and feel of tomorrow. Today marks the culmination and reward for those efforts and an important step towards realizing that vision. At this time, I welcome to the podium for the welcome remarks, Chief Education Officer, Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw.
The Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados. Dr. the Honorable William Duguid, Minister of Planning and Development. The Honorable Kay Makani, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. The Honorable Sandra Husbands, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Ms. Gabrielle Springer, Director General Infrastructure, Office of Senior Minister, Infrastructure and Planning. Ms. Alice Jordan, PS, Prime Minister's Office. Mrs. Wendy Odell, Acting Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Mr. Daniel Best, Senior Infrastructure and Development Advisor, Prime Minister's Office. Dr. Ida Mae Denny, Director, Strategic Innovations Unit. Dr. Paul Murphy, Director, Change Management Unit. Senior Management Team of the Ministry of Education. Specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the awards ceremony of the Modern School Infrastructure Design Competition. Today we gather not only to celebrate the remarkable creativity and innovation that has been showcased through this competition, but also to honor the vision that drives us towards a future where education is the cornerstone of a resilient and sustainable society. This competition represents one facet of education transformation, which seeks to provide a firm foundation in education for all of our students. This fair, inclusive, relevant, and modern education system will ensure that our children can leave school with the knowledge, attitudes, and skills that will enable them to have a bright future. The designs that we are recognizing today are firm as well. They're fancy, they're imaginative and realistic, and they make sense. They're a testament to the ingenuity that considers functionality, health and safety, site security, climate resilience, sustainability, and community engagement. These are the pillars that will support our educational institutions as they nurture the minds of our future generations. Each submission has risen to the challenge, weaving these characteristics into the fabric of their designs, ensuring that our schools are not only places of learning, but also sanctuaries that promote well-being and drive innovation. When students are comfortable learning, they want to learn more, they want to do more, and they want to be more. As we proceed with this ceremony, let us remember that each contribution brings us closer to realizing our dream of an education system that stands unwavering in the face of challenges, that is adaptable to the needs of our community, and that is respectful of the environment of which we are a part. It is against this backdrop that I use the opportunity to thank all the participants, judges, and organizers who have made this event possible. Your dedication and passion shine brightly as the ideas we celebrate today. Let us move forward with the awards, carrying with us the spirit of collaboration and the shared goal of transformation of education with the express aim of creating a bright future for every child. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Archer Bradshaw. On the way in, you all would have also noticed some of the designs. We're going to have an opportunity for you to take a bigger look at those designs at the end of this morning's ceremony. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome to the podium for the official opening remarks, Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, the Honorable Kay McConney.
Prime Minister, Mia Moore-Motley, Senior Minister, Dr. Duguid, Minister Sandra Husbands, permit me to observe the protocol that has already been established and to wish all of you a very good morning. You know, it feels as if there's a new day dawning in Barbados for the way we teach for learning, in what children must now learn to cope and do well in real life today, and in the way that we design schools for resilience going forward. And as we prepare our children to successfully navigate a rapidly changing world with confidence, our government, we recognize that what makes a difference is not only what we nurture within our children, their values, their knowledge, their skills, their habits, and their attitudes, but that the learning environment with which we surround them has a significant influence on how well they thrive. Environment influences outcomes, and better outcomes for all learners is what we are aiming at. And so the model designs for school infrastructure, which we are celebrating today and recognizing those outstanding architects who have reimagined what school infrastructure should look like. Those models that you will also see are more than about bricks and mortar. They're about transforming spaces into dynamic hubs of collaboration, of creativity, and of innovation. Our redesigned spaces here in Barbados will be flexible and adaptable, promoting teamwork and critical thinking. Classrooms will support different group configurations, learning styles, and, of course, project-based learning. Collaborative areas will encourage students to brainstorm ideas, to solve problems together, and to unleash their potential as future leaders and innovators. Resilience and sustainability both underpin our vision for modern school infrastructure, keeping in mind that we as a country must face down challenges of the climate crisis, which is very real. Barbados is feeling it already. That we must face down challenges of cleaner energy sources, which will serve our best interests, including that of our environment. And we must be water smart, where we capture, we save, and we use water more responsibly in this time of relative scarcity. Our modern school buildings will incorporate, therefore, eco-friendly designs and renewable energy sources, teaching our students the importance of environmental stewardship. By embracing sustainable practices, we not only reduce our carbon footprint, but also instill values that will resonate throughout the lives of our children. And for us to prepare our students for the real world now and for the jobs of the future that will lift their lives and expand our economy, the infrastructure of our schools must have at its core a functional purpose for relevant education and for inclusive education. Every school design, when built out in detail, will contemplate the needs of persons with disabilities as part of the mainstream, ensuring access, physical access, social access, and digital access. Learning spaces will transition readily from indoor to outdoor, recognizing that indoor-outdoor spaces are healthier at this time. Our workshops and our laboratories for the various sciences and music and home economics and the like, they must meet the standards required to be designated as qualified testing centers for technical and vocational assessment. Agriculture, recreational facilities, and community use must all be incorporated to ensure not only well-rounded students, but community access and full engagement. You will see all of this represented in the designs today. And in everything that our Prime Minister and this government has done to restore and advance this country, we have emphasized that we are in it together. This competition for modern infrastructure for our schools, it takes that to heart. And under the guidance of Steve Devenish, we have brought the vision of Barbadian architects into the design of our schools. And as we shift our weight from traditional to modern thinking, from traditional instructional approaches towards more modern approaches that meet our children how they learn and that greet our teachers with cutting-edge instructional methods that are still emerging. As we shift that weight, our entire education system, from infrastructure to curriculum, to educators, to structures, to legislation, must be made ready to empower 21st century education. This government, and indeed this ministry's commitment to excellence in education, is unwavering. And in conclusion today, I have to say that it is not just about unveiling new building models for schools. It is about investing in our future. It is about equipping our students with the skills and the knowledge and the mindset to thrive in a world of endless possibilities. I want to thank all of the architects who participated in this competition, and I wish to give a hearty congratulations to those whose models have been selected for nursery, for primary, for secondary, and for special needs. Let us embrace this evolving era in education with optimism and determination in a way that will inspire generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your moving and inspiring words this morning, Minister McConney. And anyone who has spent any time with you throughout this process knows they have definitely come from a genuine place. Oftentimes, we need a slight reminder as to who we are doing this for. And I have two beautiful reminders right here to my left, your right. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine the environment that would determine this outcome. Please, a round of applause for Alyssa and Kiana Boyce. Please, another rousing round of applause for these talented young ladies. Know them by name, Alyssa and Kiana Boyce. Whatever the question is, the answer is always music. Always music. At this time, I want to welcome to the podium Director of Natural Heritage Department, Mr. Steve Devenish, to give his remarks for today's proceedings.
Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable William F. Duguid, Minister of Planning and Development, the Prime Minister's Office, Honorable Kay McConney, Minister of Education, Technological and Educational Training, the Honorable Sandra Husbands, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Ms. Gabrielle Springer, Director General Infrastructure, Office of Senior Infrastructure and Planning, Ms. Alice Jordan, Permanent Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, Ms. Wendy Odell, Acting Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Ms. Yolan Howard, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, senior staff in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, special invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My task this morning is just to take you through the process that would have brought us to this morning's proceedings. I will quickly go through it in about 4 sections. We will look at the policy initiative, best practices, best practice principles, how we went about the design brief, evaluation, assessment, and transparency. Back in November, Prime Minister, in this building, you held a meeting with architects and landscape architects, and you expressed the need for creative spaces for the delivery of transformational education in Barbados that will respond to climate challenges and facilitate new learning. That is a directive that was not taken lightly. Director General Springer did call me and indicated that she would want me to be part of a team that will work on this. And one of the stern directives she gives, and I quote, "The Prime Minister speaks on the international level about climate change, debt for nature swap, and a new financial architecture. Any design competition must be of international standards and meet what she's saying at the international level. We cannot fall below that standard. And I will hold you responsible to make sure we deliver on that." With such a directive, energetic instruction, it left me no choice but to search for best practices. And we looked far and wide. For that, we looked at the Royal Institute of Canadian Architects and how they organize competitions. We also looked at the Royal Institute of British Architects and how they organize competitions. And we also looked at the Barbados Institute of Architects and how they organize competitions. It was agreed that the RIBA competition guidelines would best suit our particular need. And it also agreed that a single-stage design competition, one where the competition is about ideas in a single phase, would be more suitable. This type of competition will not commit the client beyond that particular conceptual space. It will facilitate a winner, awards, and there'll be no further guaranteed contract of work or employment beyond that. The designs would also remain and be retained by the client. In researching for this assignment, there was a very important comment or phrase we came across within the RIBA guidelines, and I'll read it for you verbatim. Many clients comment on how their project understanding and strategic thinking significantly improve because of holding a design competition in which multiple teams interrogate their brief, requirements, and aspirations to generate potential design solutions. From that, we lifted what we would call the best practice principles. And among those are as follows: the appointment of a competition advisor, the development of a good brief, appropriate time frame for the competition, a rigorous and transparent process, payment of honoraria to shortlisted teams to acknowledge work undertaken, and copyright protection for the architects. With government as the main driver in policy development, Clear communication was therefore important and necessary. The committee which contributed to our development for this idea, we had many discussions, over 13 meetings between November last year and this year. We actually had to break down our traditional structures, as Prime Minister often says, deconstruct, and we looked at the basic principles that would be communicated in developing design concepts and briefs. Rather than pulling from an abstract or an existing brief, we decided to start from scratch. In so doing, we looked at topics such as how designers think. Very often we see a drawing or we see what we call an artist's impression and we mix up a concept with an idea and a design. What is design and what is creativity? The difference between space and area, we explore that because very often we talk about space when we actually mean an area and vice versa. The organization of space and planning, how one space works against the other, how internal and external spaces can be achieved. Challenges with maintenance. You can design all you want. At the end of the day, maintenance must be considered. And we felt that maintenance should be considered within the design concept as opposed to delivering a product and then looking for a maintenance person. Operational of school and plant. Flexible learning spaces. Ground floor and site plan relationships. What is a design concept? Very often someone say, I have a concept, I have a design, I have some plans, and in all three cases they mean the same thing even though all three things do not mean the same. What is building construction? Some would argue that very often what we do, we have an abundance of in Barbados is building construction, but not necessarily building design. How can creativity be facilitated? And finally, accommodation schedule. Once we perused those areas with some vigorous discussions and disagreements, we soon came to the functions of the brief, and the main purposes of the brief were as follows. Purpose and function, health and safety, climate resilience, disaster preparedness, facility management, community engagement. Those were the pillars for which we further formulated and structured the brief. The brief also called for the 4 separate and different school concepts: nursery, primary, secondary, and special needs. In this brief and in this project, we give designers a chance to express themselves without a lot of the hindrances that will normally happen as you seek to move a project forward, because we wanted to have the creativity at its fullest and at its best. And therefore, for nursery schools, they were given 2 acres of land to do that. For primary, 6 acres. For secondary, 15, and for special needs, 5. And the reason why we specialized the area of land for the school was to emphasize the need to see the entire site as a school, and not the design of a school to be fitted on a site, but the entire boundary of the property is the school. If you're talking of internal and external spaces, then the entire site has to be the school. Once we arrive at that point in time, evaluation was a critical component. How do you evaluate this? What criteria do you set? Who will comprise the evaluation team? How will we be on the same page as we look at these things? We come from different backgrounds, different training, and how will these be assessed? As far as the criteria is concerned, we felt it was important to ask each designer to submit about 250 words, not more than what we call a creative statement. The reason for that was that when we're assessing a design, the designers will not be present. The creative statement, therefore, gives the designer the opportunity to say, this is what my project is about, this is what my scheme is about. The assessing marks out of a total of 100, 40% was assigned to spatial arrangements across the entire site, the transition and relationship of spaces indoors and outdoor, landscape planning and design of external spaces in relation to indoor accounted for 20%, strategy for transformation, and how the proposed facility will deliver this transformation, 10%, climate resilience, sustainability, and spatial requirements, 10 each. Now, let us not be misled to think that because at this stage, those last 3 only attracted 10% means that it was of any less importance. What is recognized is as we move forward with detailed design, then those spaces and those ideas become what we would say a more firm target to work with. For the assessment of this, the ministry assembled a multi-purpose stakeholder team. In most competitions that I've worked with in the past, we often use the rule of thumb of 5 or 7 members. But in this case, the ministry insists that all key stakeholders must be involved and all key stakeholders must be represented in what we are doing. And I want to take this point to be very precise in the membership because it is important for us to remember and know this. The evaluation team comprised the following: Mr. Curtis Luke, Barbados Secondary Teachers Union; Mr. Rudy Lovell, Barbados Union of Teachers; Mr. Wayne Bryan, Association of Principals of Public Primary Schools; Ms. Nicole Brathwaite, National Council of Parent Teachers Association; Mr. Stephen Jackman, Barbados Association of Principals of Public Secondary School; Ms. Rania Holford, Student Council, National Students Council of Barbados; Mrs. Roseanne Tudor, National Council for the Disabled; Mr. Daniel Best, Senior Advisor, Infrastructure, Prime Minister's Office; Dr. Yolanda Aline, President, Barbados Town Planning Society; Dr. Paul Murphy, Director, Change Management, Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training; Mr. Andrew Paris, Consultant to the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training; and myself, Steve Devenish. This diverse team had its work cut out. And in order to ensure that we were on the same page and to bring a common understanding of the tasks ahead of us, a training workshop was arranged where the following subjects were covered: educational transformation, that was delivered by Dr. Murphy; sustainable infrastructure, Mr. Best and Mr. Paris; planning and environmental impact assessment within the context of the Physical Development Plan amended 2023, Dr. Yolanda Aline; evaluation criteria by myself, and stages of work. I pause here to speak to 2 of these points. 1, planning and environmental impact assessment and evaluation criteria. Very often we set out on these journeys with noble intentions, and unless you are fully aware of all the stages required to lead to the final product, you can be surprised at every junction. And we felt it was important that the entire evaluation team be fully cognizant of these things, including the work stages for architectural services. And therefore, the workshops serve really, really well in grounding us in that respect. Assessment by the evaluators took place over 4 sessions. There were some challenges in organizing the evaluators to get 13 people commit to the same thing at the same time. At one stage, we had to accommodate one of our participants taking part in the senior games. We had to accommodate another individual who had to take an exam in the afternoon. And we promised everybody that we will only take half of the holidays, which was a bank holiday within May. They remained committed and steadfast. Submissions were received: 4 for nursery schools, 3 for special needs, 5 for primary, and 5 for secondary. The process has been fairly transparent. Once those submissions were received, the Ministry of Education and their team would apply temporary numbers to all submissions. And each of those submissions were then displayed in an exhibition format for the judges to do the assessment. The assessment and the scores were collected by the admin staff and the ministry, who served as the secretariat to the competition. Those scores were then evaluated and checked with the auditor for the evaluation, and at no point in time were any of the evaluators aware of the names or the persons who made their submissions. We kept those things separate and distinct. Not only were we using a point system to award what each individual saw as correct or able within the submission, we also had written submissions from each evaluator in terms of why they would have made a particular score or a particular comment. On completion of those evaluations, and after the ratification by the auditor, we reconvene once again to ensure that what was ratified by the auditor, although we are judges and able-bodied people, not everyone would add up their scores correctly, so we need an independent auditor to verify that. Once that verification took place, we reconvened to ensure that those submissions which we deemed to be finalists actually match those which the auditor tabulated. That ratification brought us to the point where we were then able to make a submission to the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. Ladies and gentlemen, we worked across borders, we worked across ministries and departments to get to this point. And the glue that kept us going very often was Ms. Tanya Shepard, Office of Senior Management Infrastructure, and Ms. Julia Smith, Admin Office for the Ministry of Education. Every phone call was met in the affirmative, even though it might have been a difficult task, and I want to express special and sincere thanks to them. I felt it was important. To take you through the process, because where we are today this morning and what you will see on the wall is but a distillation of an extensive design period. We got to this point through creativity and people giving their all, and I trust that we will commend and move forward within the same vein. Minister McConney, you said during the launch that you really hope that these submissions give us a lot of trouble. You got your wish. Senior Minister Duguid, we apologize we couldn't bring it in 2 months earlier. We know you're a time man. And Prime Minister Mia Mottley, we tried to respond to your clear policy direction for creative solutions for an innovative and transformation process. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
And Mr. Steve Devenish, if you'll allow me to thank you throughout this process. Not only was your commitment unwavering, but your energy was unmatched. We have learned so much from you. We were inspired by you every step of the way, and we thank you very much. I'm glad that you mentioned the afternoon in November, and yes, we assembled. There were architects and designers from all around Barbados, and we were in the room just beyond these walls here. And the moment the Prime Minister started to address the room, you knew this was not an ordinary assignment. It certainly wasn't a suggestion. It was very much a clarion call. And that call was met with, I would say, gusto, and it was met with the seriousness that the assignment required. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Amor-Mottley, as she continues to share her vision for infrastructure with the schools in Barbados at this award ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Mottley.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to make my job very easy this morning because you're not here to hear me. You're here to see designs. I haven't seen them myself, and I'm here to see who has won. So suffice it to say that this process is a process that was started in the room next door a couple months ago in order for us to be able to get on with the task of modernizing our school infrastructure. We made it very clear from day one that people eat first with their eyes, and the notion of sending our children into dreary, damp, and gray schools can no longer suffice when we know better. We are not about a concrete jungle. This is a process that will take 5 to 7 years, but this government has said so long as we can begin to turn the corner fiscally, we will start. We have started. And we believe that as long as our fiscal circumstances allow it, we will continue to ensure that our children function in environments where everyone, not just the children, but the teachers, the ancillary staff, the parents, everyone will feel comfortable being a part of. And to that extent, this is critical. The second key point is the climate resilience point, and let us get accustomed to it. Almost every building in this country that is not fit for purpose will at some point in the next decade or two be rebuilt, either by choice or by force. And I mean that because what we saw with Hurricane Beryl was a a Category 4 hurricane formed to the southeast of Barbados, presenting what the coastal engineers have called the most perfect storm for storm surge, because all of the heavy winds are in the northeastern quadrant typically. And therefore, once you were southeast of Barbados and once you gave the hurricane a run-up like any fastballer would have, then they had the capacity for the waves literally to do the horrific damage that was done to our coastal infrastructure and our coastal assets. So whether we like it or not, we are into a new era with respect to construction and adaptation. And this is not something for government alone. This is not something for schools alone. This is something for each and every Barbadian who has a relationship with a building. And I want people to get accustomed to that. You know, I talk about many hands make light work, to the point where people, from the time I say many, they finish the sentence. Well, I want us to get accustomed to being able to understand that every house, every building in this country must become climate resilient. If it isn't, then you're going to be forced to do it for the wrong reasons, because the building will not withstand what will come. So my friends, my role this morning, as I said, is simple, and I look forward to learning and seeing, because I, like the rest of you who have not seen, will now see for the first time. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We have come to the section in this morning's presentation where it is literally time for the presentations. I would like to ask Senior Minister Duguid to join me on stage for the first sets of presentations. And for simplicity, we're just going to go logically in order, and we're going to start with nursery. The architect or architectural firm. Our first recipient here this morning, Christopher Barnett. Would anyone like to come to represent Christopher Barnett? Our next recipient, Ruth Durant Sobers. As we continue now with the BIA competition participants, ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Julia Curtin, or her representative. And they will all be receiving these very attractive glass plaques. Representing Mr. Kevin Brown, Mr. Dario Scott Moore, Mr. Kyle Chandler, Ms. Danielle Gill, Mr. Wendell Mapp, Jr. Mr. Frederick Johnson.
No, I only called one.
Thank you, Senior Minister. I would now like to invite Minister of Education, the Honorable Kay McConney, to present the next set of awards. Mr. Anthony Brooks, Ms. Alana Brooks. Mr. Maurice A. Clark. Mr. Corey Evelyn, Mr. Martin Sobers. Ms. Linda Moore. Mr. Ian Best, Mr. Charles Boyce. Mr. Christopher Barnett. Mrs. Ruth Durant Sobers. We will continue with the nursery category. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Corey Evelyn. In the primary section, Ms. Ruth Durant Sobers. Our second finalist in the primary section, Alana Brooks. And our third finalist in the primary school section, Maurice Clark. We now move on to the secondary school section and say congratulations to one of our three finalists in Julia Curtin. Our second of three finalists, Ian Best. And our third of three finalists in the secondary school section, Kevin Brown. So we've had awardees in the nursery school, primary school, and secondary school segment. And now for our special needs finalists. Once again, representative for Julia Curtin. Our second of three finalists in the special needs category, Corey Evelyn. And our third of three finalists in the special needs category, Frederick Johnson. A round of applause for all of our participants and our finalists, and a special thank you from Minister McCartney. At this time, I want to welcome to the podium to move the vote of thanks for this morning's ceremony, Director of Change Management, Dr. Paul Murphy.
Good morning, everyone. So before I actually do the vote of thanks, I am going to pause for a moment so that we can have a musical presentation from one of our students. After she's finished, then we'll have the vote of thanks by yours truly. So our musical presentation and then the vote of thanks. Thank you very much, Zahara. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause for Zahara. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. My task is a simple one but an important one. It is one that allows us to bring this very special and wonderful event to a gracious end, taking the time to pay tribute and offer gratitude to those individuals and organizations that contributed to the execution of the concept design competition and the hosting of this awards ceremony. This vote of thanks also signals the formal conclusion of the competition and the commencement of our efforts to transform our school infrastructure across Barbados. Of course, it also communicates that it's time to stop with all the speeches, view the exhibition, and partake of some light refreshments. Ladies and gentlemen, the importance of this exercise and the importance of education should not be lost on us. This award ceremony brought together not one, not two, not three, but 4 ministers of government, including our very own Prime Minister and our Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to have such esteemed persons in our midst, and their presence have added immense value and significance to this event. The Chinese saying goes, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." The conceptual and intellectual journey of transforming Barbados' educational landscape started with you, Madam Prime Minister. And today, your vision and passion for education were again on full display. We would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to you, Prime Minister, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us this morning, for your transformational and inspirational leadership, your unwavering support for education, and your commitment for empowering our youth for the betterment of our nation. Similarly dedicated and visionary is our very own Minister of Education, Technological and Vocational Training. We extend our sincere thanks to you for your invaluable contribution to the design competition process and for the innovative initiatives and strategic policies you articulated this morning to set in motion the transformation of our education system and lay the foundation for a bright future for our students. Oftentimes, it would appear that Senior Minister was even more excited about this process than the officers of the Ministry of Education. His excitement only grew when he saw the outstanding submissions from our talented architects. Senior Minister, for gracing us with your presence and assisting us with the distribution of awards, for your consistent words of encouragement and innovation during the competition process, we thank you. Together, the Director General Infrastructure and Senior Advisor Infrastructure formed a dynamic duo that set the tone for this competition. Their attention to detail and ability to make tough decisions were essential in ensuring that the competition would be of the highest caliber and a success. We want to thank you for the knowledge you shared and for your partnership. The role of the Chief Judge in this competition was critical. From his history lessons on design and architecture to his key eye for detail, we knew from the very start that we had selected the right guy for this job. For your remarks this morning, for your guidance, for the countless hours spent reviewing the entries, providing feedback, and assisting with the selection of the winners, we extend our gratitude. We also extend our sincerest thanks to the full judging panel, who, despite their diverse backgrounds, came together, collaborated so well, and did an excellent job selecting our winners. Chief, as always, your welcome was not just a welcome, but a call to action. Your words of wisdom have truly inspired us all to strive for excellence and to aim for the highest standards of achievement. We are grateful for your ongoing support and guidance, which has been instrumental in shaping the success of this design competition. We would also like to acknowledge and thank our ministry's permanent secretary, who who supported us, encouraged us, and played a vital role in shaping the design competition and this award ceremony. Thank you to our student performers for showcasing your talents and creativity with us this morning. To our key organizers, Suzanne, Julia, Andrew, and Tanya, who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, your dedication, hard work, and attention to detail have not gone unnoticed. We are grateful for all that you have done to make this competition and this ceremony a memorable and meaningful experience for all. Lastly, congratulations to all the award recipients, our innovative and talented architects, for your outstanding submissions and your achievements. Your hard work, dedication, and passion have inspired us all. We are proud to celebrate your successes today. In conclusion, I reiterate my heartfelt thanks to everyone who has contributed to the success of this design competition and award ceremony, including our Education Technical Management Unit, Media Resource Department, our ushers, the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center, the media, and especially our exceptional Master of Ceremonies. Your support, dedication, and commitment have made this event a memorable and impactful occasion. Let us continue to work together towards a brighter future for our children and our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Murphy. The exhibit is officially open. We are going to ask our ushers to please escort the Honorable Prime Minister, our ministers of government, and our management team at the Ministry of Education, and escort them through to see the exhibit. And all of our other guests may also view the exhibit, and there will be refreshments in the main foyer. Thank you so much for making this an important part of your day. Whatever you do, get home safely.